I think all of us have opened Claude and started experimenting. And what I think will be really valuable for people is for you to walk through what you did to save some people some of the trial and error, right? Like, let's see how you put this together. Welcome to Search Party, the podcast where every guest brings something to the table. I'm your host, Amanda Milligan, and today I've invited Jonny Nastor to the party. Jonny is the founder of Digital Commerce Partners, where he helps e-commerce and SaaS brands grow through content and SEO. He's the creator and longtime host of Hack the Entrepreneur, which has received, is this true, 5.8 million downloads?
It did, yes.
Yeah, wow. Since its start in 2014. And he's also the author of Hack the Entrepreneur, How to Stop Procrastinating, Build a Business, and Do Work That Matters. Welcome to the show, Jonny.
Hey, thanks for having me, Amanda.
I am very excited to, I'm going to get ahead of myself because you haven't said what you brought, but I think it'll be really, really cool to walk through. But as we do on this show, we're going to start with 2 truths and a lie. So what do you have for us?
All right. 2 truths and a lie. I've been in the same mastermind group for just over 11 years. I've played guitar in a band called the Dinks, and I do volunteer bike deliveries throughout my day while I'm working.
This is a good one. None of them are particularly obvious to me. I'm going to say the mastermind is a lie.
I played drums in a band called the Dinks when I was young. I'm a drummer, so
So it was like the half-truth situation. Because I was like, I buy that you were in a band. Like,
I know. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll do that one. No, the mastermind, I've only been in one mastermind in my entire life. I actually didn't know what it was until I joined one. But it's with 2 other guys, 11 years. We actually have matching tattoos
no way.
right here. And we have a call once a week, every single day. I mean, every single week for 11 years now.
That's really incredible. Thanks for sharing that. And then, yeah, with this bike delivery, what's that about?
Yeah, bike delivery. Well, I live downtown Toronto, and it's called Bike Brigade. It started during COVID. It's a not-for-profit, non-political thing that's just run through an app, and there's just a bunch of bikers. And so I just like you can just sign up whenever you want, and we do deliveries for food banks around the city, of which there's lots because there's millions of people, and so they just tell us, get a notification. I can go, or if I just say I can't make it, then just somebody else picks it up. And we just deliver. I've got a trailer on my bike and just go and then deliver it to people's houses, apartments, wherever they happen to be, sometimes in parks, depending on which one. And it it gets me out to places, I mean, I don't normally go to in the city. Plus, it's really interesting how differently you get treated. So I go from like literally like running my own company with like 10 people on my team to all of a sudden you're in the elevator with people who are kind of like, who's this bike delivery person carrying a bunch of grubby groceries? It's kind of cool, like that way to me. Just the way like people treat you, like from respect to no respect to kind of thing. It's a cool thing. I like it. So I've been doing it for 5 years on and off. I do a few 100 kilometers like a year. We have an app that tracks it for us, how far we go. And
I love that concept. I'll have to see if something similar exists in the States. Because, yeah, I mean, that's so smart. Jonny, what did you bring to the party?
I brought my agency's website. Okay, so
You're like, wait,
we're
stay with me here.
we're an e-commerce SEO agency. If you're in the SEO space, which you probably are, if you're here, there's been some changes. There's been some changes to the way search works in the last year or so. And I think there's probably going to be a few more. So, anyways, the beginning of the year, I was just looking at like what we were delivering to clients, what we were doing for them, and I was like, okay. And then I'm like looking at our site, which we built. When we launched in 2020. And I was just like, okay, there's like a complete disconnect. So I spent in February, early February, I spent just over 2 weeks. I think it was 16 days, like work days, just deep into rewriting messaging, and how I wanted it to to connect what we were doing to what people needed and stuff. And all of a sudden it was Friday, almost 1 month ago, today, in 2 days. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I've got all new service pages written. I got a new homepage. I got a how we work, these pages that we didn't have before. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, okay, looked at our site. This is not going to work on this site. That's all I thought. I was like, the site feels like the old, what we did before, and it's not the same. So I did like any person in 2026 does, went over to Claude. All right, Claude, here's the thing. And of course, it knows so much about me. And our website was on WordPress. I was like, I think I want to get off WordPress because I don't even know how to make this site look like I want this new messaging to work. And it was like, all right, well, there's some things we could. Anyways, 2 hours later, I'm downloading Claude code, which I had never done, and then just starting to work. And so that was Friday at about 4 p.m. My laptop stayed open all night that night, all night the next night. And then Sunday night, I launched to a server on Vercel, which is hosting, which I'd never heard of before, a completely vibe coded website.
So this is what I love about this is because you're right. I think all of us have opened Claude and started experimenting. And what I think will be really valuable for people is for you to walk through what you did to save some people some of the trial and error, right? Like, let's see how you put this together, the step-by-step process, what came as a result, and sharing this
Yeah.
experiment,
So
we can learn from it.
I think the first thing, Amanda, is I'm not I'm not a coder at all, but I will say I do want to like disclaim. We ended up launching the site the following Thursday morning. The next day, I put it onto Reddit on the agency subreddit. I was just like saying, and I was like, very clearly, I said, like, no, I do not sell websites. I will never sell. I will never do this for somebody else. I don't think this is right for 99% of people, but we have a marketing site, right? That's all it is. It's like if it had an app, if we were dealing with client data or anything,
Commerce store, or, yeah,
yeah, it was like the security nightmare would just be insane. Like, but it's literally just HTML pages up there. And also, like, I built apps before. I built software, like not myself, but with developers. And it was weird because during this weekend, it was like very much like many conversations I've had over like Slack or something with a developer, just like incrementally improving things. Okay, like actually, let's make the page look something like this, or go take a screenshot from another site and be like, actually, can you make the padding more like this? Drop it into Claude Code and it would just do it for me. So it was like constant iteration. But I think the biggest thing was when I went from Claude to chat and figured sort of out what we were going to do, and then I went over to Claude Code just to like bash around for say an hour. When in that hour was when I was like, oh, interesting. This, like, it literally spun up a homepage that looked crappy. I will say, but I was like, that's real. And like, and the new messaging, it almost feels better already. So I was like, okay. So then I went back to the Claude chat, and then I was like, okay, I spent enough time on Reddit, too much time probably, in the vibe coding like subreddits, in the like Claude subreddits, in the Codex subreddits, and everyone's just like, plan your architecture first. And that's not what my heading's from, but it was really like decide on your tools, because otherwise you're going to get partway through and then you're going to try and switch the code base and blah blah blah. So I just spent another hour with Claude, my chat, and it was just like, okay, well, I was like, here's my fears about leaving WordPress. One thing, I've never left WordPress. I was like, what's the back end? I was like, well, there won't be a back end, which there isn't. And then I was like, but I need to check for like leads and stuff. So it's like, here, we'll use this. And I use a tool called Use Basin. It's a third party form tool that just I go there. It emails me like any other form from a WordPress site, but I can go log into their site and see. And then it was just said Astro. So astro.js, I believe, is the website. It's a free, just like code base, I guess, really made for marketing sites and content driven sites. It's not for building apps or anything. It's free, and you just start using that. And then it said just host it on Vercel. That was literally it. And then once I knew that and I was solid, I went back, started a new Claude code. I was like, okay, I'm migrating a WordPress site migrating from WordPress to this, and we need to build the new site. And then I just started. But like Saturday night was wild because I was like, all right, well, I've got like 86 or something blog posts on the WordPress site. I was just like, hey, Claude, like in code, I was like, can you just like, or no, I was like, how do I get those imported from you? He's like, well, you can like export them with WordPress, blah, 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 or you can just tell me and I'll just go crawl them and grab the content.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, that sounds easier.
Yeah, do
And
that.
it did it. And then I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning and it was literally, there was a blog on our site. I wish I could show what our original blog, um, main like blog category page looked like. 'Cause it was literally just a standard WordPress. All it said was the DCP blog in the middle. And then it was just a list of posts. This is what it did in one iteration, like overnight without me even asking. It even named this, which is funny because we had an internal thing going on our Slack for about 2 weeks to rename the blog because I was like, we're still calling it the DCP blog and it's showing up in SERPs and it's really annoying to me. And there was just so many different names going by.
And it just
Cloud Code,
just
Cloud Code did it. It put a subtitle and then it did this for us, which I thought was pretty wild. So here is, these are all of them here. So it's like if I was, um, Claude Code is, it's basically Claude in the sense that you just talk to it, except it doesn't have the personality. Like it doesn't doesn't hype you up as you're
like
going.
ChatGPT does. Like, wow, you're the best.
But even Claude itself will do that. You know what I mean? Like, it won't be like, great idea. Once in a while, but like, it'll say, good notes, like, let me update. And then it just sort of runs through stuff. It previews it, but like, commit and deploy. Like, can I show? Um, like, really, it was just an iteration of 48 hours of me just like, okay, now let's go to like this new service page, right? And it was like once I got to a service page, it was like, okay, well let's create sort of a template for them because we know from the old site that there's now six other service pages, and so the service pages all follow like the exact same sort of template. So if I want to add another service page at this point, we create it in Google Docs, put everything we want into it, images, anything like that. I export it as a markdown file. Then I just go over to here, import the markdown file, or even just put it into my folder on my desktop and just say, okay, new service page, it's called this, and it'll just 10 seconds later, it's live. And then, well, actually, it does it to a staging site. So it's live on my local browser
Mhm.
for me, just till you get it right. And then it's like, well, I'm going to push it live. And then it pushes it live. But then the next interesting thing, which I can show you actually, which was I did this new post yesterday, which I think is going to be sort of like the future of sort of articles we can do now and how and why. So I wrote this new post about ghost rankings, about like being sort of like mentioned or like cited in here, but like not actually recommended. It was something I saw from which we'll get into the way I can analyze our content now on our site. But anyways, I wrote this article, and then I literally got it spun up, and then all of these visuals are 100% created by Claude Code live through Claude Code to my because at first it was like we had like images and tables and stuff, and then it was like, well, those aren't super crawlable, not easy for things to cite them. So why don't we just create the actual like HTML itself that's fully like mobile friendly and stuff. And Claude Code just went to town on this blog post for me. And then it was like, oh, we had this just as like a little subheading. It was like, that looks pretty bad. And then at the last step, it was like, okay, so I see according to our brand guidelines, like our writer guidelines, that we need like 3 to 5 internal links. And it went through my database of content on my site and then came and suggested me 5 internal links that it could add with the content around it and how it would rewrite it. And I just had to either tweak it and say yes or just approve it. And it added internal links. Then as soon as we published this to the site, then Claude Code was like, all right, now we got to add some internal links back to this article. Here's the 6 places on the site I suggest. And it was just like, do you want me to do this? Yes. And it was like, okay, it's deploying. Give it 30 seconds for the server and you'll see it. I'm like, what the hell? So
The fact that it can deploy all of that stuff, like the amount of time saved, is going to be hard to measure over time. Like,
right. So this is, I think, where it gets really interesting. So we can debate whether vibe coded, whether it's even called vibe coding when you're doing it like this. I'm not sure. And if you should do this, but having pure HTML site that lives like here, like this is our site. So literally the images, the downloads, the layouts. This is like glossary pages. The Where's my public? See, I really don't know exactly how all this stuff works actually. Blog. So there's blog for images. There's blog files. Here's all of our images. Here's the actual blog as it exists as markdown files. So we can open up any of these, and this is the live content on the site. If it gets updated, it gets updated as well on my here. And so these files on my desktop are synced with our repo, it's called, in GitHub. GitHub is then connected to the server and just pushes out. But if there's we have backups in the repository and here, and then one other person on my team who does all of our on-page work, he has these same files on his computer, and either of us can fix and work on the site. To me, Amanda, what I have found truly astonishing now, even though I'm really new into it, was like a week or so into this, I was like, okay, so, and this is me talking to Claude. Sorry, this is this is what I mean. I was like, okay, so we've got all of the content. You have access to literally the live site now. I was like, but there's still a disconnect when I need to make decisions about content, about updates, about what to do with things, because there's Search Console, there's Bing Webmaster now that will give us AI visibility. There's APIs I can connect to ChatGPT and stuff. And then there's GA4. And I was like, but those are all over the place. And then our content. And Claude's like, well, let's just create a content intelligence database, which is now what I've been working on. So now I have this thing, and actually it spun this up this morning, so it doesn't look super good. But this is like the live database of all the content live on my site. The GSC and the GA4 data is live as of yesterday. There's LLM data, so we're connected via API to Anthropic, OpenAI, and Perplexity for AI visibility. That I haven't done another crawl since last Thursday or so. But otherwise, this is and now we can start looking through and finding opportunities and making decisions based on our actual live content. So this was always something that bothered me. It's like we always had like internal linking Google Sheets, right? And then we have keyword research, and then we have rankings, and it was always just like, I know, but like you have to put them together sort of in your head, or else
Ultra
bring them
disparate.
together.
Yeah.
And then it would like, and then you'd be making a decision and be like, oh shit, that like, apologies, but it's like, oh, that page has been updated. It was updated last week, and we're looking at old. It's like this is literally the live. So even if we find like, oh, there's no internal links pointing to these, I can just go and get those fixed, and then this will just live update. Like, okay, that's no longer an issue. So to me, this is now where like, and again, sorry, this literally like finished. I've never
Wow.
had a visual
It's
really of this.
wild though. I mean, you just built this entire, I mean, and you can continue to customize it. Like,
Yeah, so it's like blog section, like here's the platforms. Here's again based on my ghost rankings. So it's like where if you look at best e-commerce platform, if you look in the research that Perplexity is doing, the DCP us are in there as part of the research, but then we're not being cited. Victorious is being cited here. And then here's our GSC clicks, our impressions, and then inbound internal links across it. I just actually, yesterday or the day before, connected Semrush via MCP to our Claude. So I think I can connect it to code, and then I can actually pull in Semrush metrics. So I can actually have like, what's traffic potential on these things, and I can just make it another. The idea is that like I should have like an overview row where I can have all the data I want,
yeah.
that I can make decisions off of.
And Claude whipped
Yeah,
this up just based on connecting these various sources.
I I prepare Astra website and CI database showcase. I went on here this morning and I was like, hey, I am going on to the Semrush podcast in 2 hours, and to talk about this. Is there a visual way we can show this? And then it was like, it even decided to tell me that like it thinks the money shot for the podcast is the audit query. The dashboard is demo ready, tells everything the health of the story. It wants me to show the ghost ranking.
So I know that this is like kind of a live thing. Like you said, you just got this dashboard today and it was like a 48-hour blitz to build all of this, right? Like what gets you excited? Not just, yes, it's like exciting that you were able to have a conversation with Claude and build an entire website, right? Like that is just a great example of where we are and where we're heading. But like, what are you most excited about for deploying? Like you were saying, okay, I can take this information and make changes on content. I feel like there's so many different things. I don't know, like just be watching you show me this. I'm like, man, like this could be full client dashboards. This could be like, there's so many different applications. Like what's going through your mind?
This article like would not be anything like this. So that made me start thinking about like information gain yesterday, and was like, okay, so we have articles. We have really good ways now to just like really crunch a lot of data. And then we can just literally, with talking to Claude Code and having like a page up on our site, we can like work with it to like, how can we visualize this data in a way that is super crawlable and parsable by all surfaces, and also like look really good and really be easy to understand for a client. Like, I don't even know if, I mean, we could have obviously built this in WordPress somehow, but it would have taken us days, I'm sure, to do it,
Yeah.
rather than me spending about an hour going back and forth and being like, oh, actually, I checked it out on my phone now, and like this table's a bit weird. Like, okay, I'll fix that. So to me, just the flexibility we have, especially with like experiments we can run now with content, where we can literally, if we want to programmatically put up a section, it like getting the content and data together is still work, which it should be, for it to be good. But that was always just one part of the work. And then there was like, okay, now how do we technically do this? Because we're not, I mean, we're SEOs, we're not developers. And it's like, we can always have developers, but it's like all of that takes time. And it's just like, then it was like, well, it's going to take a month before we can get that. And it's just like, let's just do something else. We're too small to like take on those kinds of projects that take so long sometimes. And now we can just, anything silly that I can come up with, we can just try it. And
That's
then I have a
true.
live data point now to be able to tell if things are working or not. Deployed, done. And it was like,
All of
damn.
this feels like the perfect illustration of something that's been said a lot since LLMs have gotten so sophisticated, which is that if we can use it in this way to reduce the friction of literally deploying things, of literally building things, especially for like, I'm similar. Like, I'm not a technical person. I could not go in and, I took an HTML class in college, and that's the extent of my knowledge. So, if I don't have access to a dev team, to be able to have the ideas and to know what you want to test and to spend the time creating the content and then not have the hurdle of, okay, yeah, like what's the perfect way to code this, like you said, so that it's crawlable, or, finding that balance of where can you remove in your day to day that friction that's taking up hours of your week where you could have been investing more in that, like the information gain of it all, like what are you
Yeah.
providing to your audience, like those types of things, like that is a really powerful transition for everybody. And that's why I want people to see what you did and kind of think about what is it in their weeks that is
Yeah.
taking up so much of that time that maybe they could take off their plate.
Yeah, don't do your business website. Don't say that I told you to do your business website, because I actually say do not do your business website. Um, it still seems wacky to me that we could do that, but yeah, I mean, even just a note taking app, just a simple, just if you're like, I don't know what to think of, there you go, note taking app. Very simple. Like, you're not looking to sell it, you're not looking to package it in any way that can't work except on your local, but it's pretty interesting to see. And I think, because I know like most people on my team still haven't used, we use Cowork and we use Claude, but they don't use Code, because there's this apprehension that
Yeah.
it's not coding though. It
Yeah.
literally talks to you. It's Claude. It just talks to you and it just asks you what you want to do. Yes, you have to make, but there's nothing you can break that, like, except for the app. And it's just like, oh, the app doesn't work. And then send it a screenshot, and then it's like, oh, let me figure that out. And then it figures it out for you.
Were there any other, like, I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that there were some issues with like it not automatically saving and stuff like that. Like, were there any other things that came up that were roadblocks that would help people who are just starting to play around with vibe coding to know?
I should go back and say that one of the first things, before I even got directly back into the code for the first time, when I was still talking to Claude mentioned creating a design system, which is a design system. It's a markdown file. It sits in that content. And now it's like anytime it creates something, it creates it following the design system. So it's the fonts. It's like we use teal for AI related things, and we use the gold for regular organic search, those kind of things. And it's just like how spacing should work. And now I've since created one, because once we got all the new service pages up, I was like, okay, so how we're talking about certain things and the messaging doesn't match with a lot of the blog posts. So we created one called the DCP something brief, that they call it, and it sits in the database, so that now anytime we're working on content, it puts it against that, and then it like finds, oh, actually we should say, if we're saying to say ghost rankings again, it's like that should be capitalized because now we have a blog post about it as a named term, and it will. So it's like interesting. So it's like a design system, so that everything and whoever is working on the site has to follow that design system. But now there's also, we're building out this one for content and how we talk about certain things, which is basically content guidelines, but like in a very specific way. And then
Yeah.
it allows us not to contradict ourselves, which before was always a concern of mine. It's like something gets published. And so to me, start with the design system for sure. And again, throughout that weekend, I did iterate on that design system, but that's it. And then if you get fearful, like as I was getting ready to deploy to an actual server for the first time, even though I wasn't going to change the DNS, I was like, okay, how do I do a third party audit on this. This is me talking to actual Claude chat. And it's like, open up Codex, give it this. And it created a third party like audit, security audit, and visit like search like SEO audit and stuff. And I got Codex to run it just against and it found like 30 different things, which I pasted over to Claude Code, and it fixed them all. And I was like, oh, so I have two different tools check each other because I don't know the code. But I really don't need to. So again, it's sort of like when you start thinking like, oh, I need something to check this, like just use one of the other tools available, and really put in firm parameters. If you're going to something big like a website, like with design system and stuff, just if you want to know what my design system looks like, just ask me somewhere and I can show you the markdown file. It's literally just content clearly about us and our messaging and colors and stuff.
And I think
It's
that
nothing
like it not only does
crazy.
it help facilitate, fewer drafts because it's closer to what you're looking for. It kind of like I feel like it's a great best practice anyway to have the inputs being like the soul of your brand. That's not going to
Yeah,
be like created. Like if you're like, okay, I'm using these tools to
exactly.
build, it still needs the source of truth of like who are we and why do we exist and making sure that that's
Yeah.
communicated.
So those guardrails, and I didn't think about this really like the guardrails until like the Sunday when I was like, this is actually real and this website could actually go live. Like still wasn't really crossing my
Right.
mind. I was just like, this is super cool as a local thing. But then I was like, I don't know. Then I was like, how am I going to tell my team about this on Monday? Because there was no plan to even change the website, never mind completely overhaul it. But yeah, you have to put in guardrails because it knows code. It knows it can do like for ADA, for like accessibility, it can do all those checks. But yeah, it doesn't know you. It doesn't know the brand. It doesn't know the soul of the business. And so you need to make sure guardrails are in place. But again, you don't need all of those at the beginning.
Right.
Like some of those things have been created even just in the last month of you discover something new that can do, and it's like, that's really cool, but you also see where it could screw up other parts of the site. So put this to memory in the whatever design brief thing we have and it's just like, all right, saved. Now it's just there and it accesses it every time. It's going to make a change.
Uh,
Don't overthink it. That's
if y'all try something, share it with us because I think this is going to be this is just the beginning. Like we are in the very early stages of what's going to be possible. So thank you for sharing your whirlwind experience with it, the things that have excited you.
did it seem like a whirlwind? It felt like a whirlwind as I
When
explained
you were
it
saying in
because
a
I'm
weekend
so
you
in
built a
it.
site, that's
I'm
that's a
so in it. I
whirlwind.
just like I don't even know what the potential is yet, but
Right, but
it
that's what's
seems cool.
exciting, and I love when people share this kind of stuff with others because, like you said, it just helps us figure out what's possible.
Yeah,
So
it's
thank you
very
so
cool.
much for joining me today, John. I
Absolutely
really
my pleasure.
appreciate
This
it.
has been great.
If people want to hear more from you, follow this journey that you're on. Where can they find you?
I mean, they can always check out the site, Digital Commerce, and I guess LinkedIn is probably the only social media that I hang out on at this point. So that'd be the best spot.
All right. Thanks again, John. Then thank you all for listening. If you want an invite to the after party, sign up for our newsletter. That's where we drop exclusive behind the scenes tidbits and where guests answer our spicy question of the month. This month's question is, what is a popular SEO or AI visibility tactic you think people are overhyping? Until next time, keep learning, keep testing, and keep showing up.